Hello everybody, this is Surfer. Now you've seen my final videos, but today I'm going to pull back the curtain and I'm going to share with you my workflow for producing a track from start to finish and how I make it come to life. Name Surfer is the intersection of my two biggest passions. First one is surfing the ocean and the second one is creating beats in the studio. So it's a bit like catching a wave. Producing music is about finding that perfect spot, that perfect lineup and catching that perfect wave. Let's dive in and check out the workflow. So this is a view of my very humble studio, which consists of a Windows laptop, which runs Ableton 12, which I use in split mode, so I can do my arrangement, composition on one side, and I can take care of my effects and session view on the other side. I have a very simple Focusrite sound card plugged into all this, which also connects to my Yamaha production speakers and Focusrite headphones and my old synth. Okay, so my first step is generating a musical idea, and I do this by getting some audio or MIDI samples from either Loop Cloud or Splice, or sometimes I also create my own ones using my themes. So once I find the audio and MIDI samples I really like, I drag and drop them into Ableton 12, my DAW, and I create a 16 bar loop, and this is where I will always focus first on my kick and followed by the bass. This is where most of my work goes. I really try to spend the time in making sure the kick and bass are actually matched together and got a bit of a groove already on their own. To add further groove, I then will focus on the hats, and I will add complementary drum elements to create more of a groove, including the clap and snare. I will then continue by adding further instrument like synth and pads to give it melody and harmony. Alright, the composition is the longest trek, tons of iterations to get the story right, and then comes the mixing with the EQs, compressors, reverb, delays, and sound effects. I then export as a WAV file and I send it over to a mate who's a sound engineer who takes care of the mastering. I've not managed to crack the code with the mastering yet, and this is a complex story which I prefer to leave to the expert. I then dive into MidJourney. I try to gather some cool prompts to create some video elements which I want to then add to my music, and so I use MidJourney for this, create images which I then convert into mini videos and import them into Premiere Pro. I then go to my YouTube channel, import the video, add a description, some tags. Alright, that's the process behind the sound. I'm going back to the lab now to catch my next wave, but be on the lookout for my next track, which will come out sometime soon. Alright, until then, take care, cheers, and thanks for watching.